Hey everyone, this is Brett Favre, Green Bay Packers Super Bowl champion, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source of the Packers time zone. Go Pack that.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Good Morning Lambeau. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay, here to talk some Green Bay Packers as we press a little deeper into the offseason, getting ready for both free agency and the draft. And, just kind of combing through everything that is Packers this time of year. The coaching carousel is heating up. You're getting interviews all over the place. Mike McCarthy, former Packers great head coach, Super Bowl winner, all that stuff. I think Mike will end up in the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. That's just me personally. I hope he does anyway. But he completed an interview with the Chicago Bears. Honestly, Tim, it sounds like early on here that the Bears are going to miss out on Ben Johnson. Now, anything can happen. But there's rumors heating up of Ben Johnson potentially going to the Raiders. I don't know. I just expected Chicago to not let him out of the building. You know what I mean? And evidently he's a smart man. He's looking around the rest of the league going, I don't know if I want to go to that dumpster fire over there in Chi-Town.
I don't think anyone wants to go to that dumpster fire in Chi-Town. But, I say that jokingly, right? Obviously, head coaching positions are highly coveted in this league. And I'm looking forward to seeing who the Bears ultimately end up hiring. Should be interesting.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's this is my favorite time of the year, really, is the coaching shakeup and of course line season gets cranked up. That's always hilarious. You can kind of read through most of the BS that's coming out, but it's just a fun time of year, man. It really is. Everybody's got hope for the next season, no matter how bad your team was the previous year. And it's pretty cool to see where the Packers are sitting going into this year, to be honest with you, man. I'm really, really excited about them taking that next step. You guys remember when we did our preseason predictions, I kind of looked at the schedule, looked at the roster, looked at the depth, and said, I see 10 to 13 wins, right? That's kind of in that window. There was a couple times we got to 13, and I was thinking we might stretch it to 14, right? And then there was a couple times, too, where it's like, boy, we'll be lucky to get 10, right? It's just the ups and downs of the season, but sure enough, we fall right in that 11-win mark and obviously make the playoffs. But just here was the rumor that I was talking about. NFL Rumors tweeted out, NFL coaching update, the Raiders are reportedly closing in on Lions' Ben Johnson for their next head coach. So it sounds like when you hear a report like that, listen, anything can fall through. You guys don't remember the Josh McDaniels situation in Indianapolis. That was a really strange story. You ever get a chance, go check that out. But, anything can fall through at any moment. But when you start to hear they're closing in, that typically means they found their guy and they're just trying to work out the details, right? Now, we'll see what happens today as more information comes in. I had tweeted this out late last night, so I'm sure there's plenty of time for things to change there in that regard. Now, we got a Tucker Kraft update. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. I put Kraft Yak and Cheese Year 3 going to be lit. Zach at Showtime Zach tweeted this out, and I think it came from Tucker Kraft's ladies' Instagram. All right, and Kraft Mac and Cheese sent some more Kraft Yak and Cheese, items, I guess you could say. You see the picture here of Tucker, and I'm going to fast forward this video.
So exciting.
Because he really does. He struggles for a minute getting this big box open, and you can guys kind of see what it is. Here we go.
Cheese, baby. Sick. Is that a bunch of noodles? Oh.
That's the best part right here.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Should I wear it on Sunday? Don't break it. It's mine. Sick.
There's noodles underneath there. Holy cow.
It's all mac and cheese. It's a knee's worth of yak and cheese.
Yak and cheese.
Wow.
Oh, with the classic prep on the side.
How many? Oh, no.
Oh, they just wrapped it.
Oh.
It's just a wrap. It's still cool.
Rebellion feeds your soul.
It's okay. Mine's not movie
I
quality.
know.
So go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
right.
Wow, there's no artificial flavors.
I mean, it's just cheese.
Okay,
You can get behind that.
nice. So cool. Such a cool surprise.
It's 85.
Neat.
So
So
obviously he's embracing that whole thing. To the best of my knowledge, it was Baz that actually put the first graphic together and got the thing going. The first time I had heard it was on our show, where a fan, I can't remember who it was, someone in the chat said Kraft yak and cheese instead of Kraft mac and cheese. And of course, Baz put the image together, and we were off and running. So really, really cool. Love Tucker Kraft, Tim. I think he's going to be here for until he's 30 at least. You know how good he is. He'll be here at least until he's 30, and I think he's going to be a leader on this team.
I agree. And so we finally figured it out, right? This is a forklift full of yak and cheese then, right? That's got to be what they were bringing into the facility now. But no, I agree. I think Tuck is definitely going to be, especially on the offensive side, but really in that whole locker room, he's going to be one of those pillars, one of those leaders. And that's the type of guy you want. I feel real good about guys like him and Josh Jacobs and Jordan and Xavier McKinney and stuff in our locker room. So we need to cultivate more of that culture. We're not going to have a culture change. I think we're having a culture shift in that locker room. And, we got to have everybody bought in from the bottom to the top of that roster, and starts with guys like Tuck. So awesome to see it.
Yeah, definitely. Tucker Kraft's the man. We are pretty well set at tight end for the next few years. It doesn't mean you don't continue looking for the next great one. And obviously you want to create depth along the way as you do that. But yeah, I think Tucker Kraft, he's shown that he's durable. He's shown that he plays the game the right way. He's definitely got the right attitude. I think his teammates love him. He's going to be one of those dudes we lean on for a long, long time for sure. So put another tweet out this morning, Tim. It says, the more you dive into the NFL draft research, this year's depth at center and guard, very thin, by the way. It sure feels like the Packers will most likely draft a tackle and convert him to the interior, as they have many times before. And I said a good but not great free agent choice for center would be Drew Dalman in Atlanta, 78.8 PFF grade. And I said, with that being said, I think as Rob Domofsky reported last year, the center of the future is probably already in the building. So every year, the whole reason we do these exercises and you put this information together like this, right? It's not just a geek out over football, but it's an exercise. It truly is an exercise that you can go, okay, the more that you, and people go, why don't you just use a spreadsheet, Clayton? Because something else happens, for me at least, maybe you're different. When I put pen to paper, grease to board, right, that you have to write it and read it as you're writing it, that it just kind of registers a little bit deeper. And that's just me being the idiot I am, I guess. But with that being said, you start to build up this memory bank of, okay, that's right, we're thin there, we're heavy there. And you can kind of see the NFL draft start to unfold even a couple months before it happens as a whole. Not, hey, I think he'll go 16 instead of 19, or I think this team will go tackle before they go wide receiver or anything like that. It's just the draft board as a whole. You're trying to figure out what is the theme of the draft, because that's how GMs have to navigate those waters to make sure they don't get jumped by other teams to take a prospect that they deem, the current tier of top talent, if you will. So that's one of the things that's sticking out early on, Tim, is center depth, really thin in this draft. We're talking about top heavy. When I say depth, people say depth. They go, I know there's a lot of good prospects at the end. I got you. We're talking about those top tier talents, right? That could potentially be drafted in one of the first 3 rounds and go, there's our center of the future. Me personally, I don't see it in the top 100 picks of the draft, but I could be wrong. That's why it kind of makes you think, all right, if there's no real centers in the top 100 of the draft that you go day one starter, you're good to go, plug and play at center. Drew Dalman is the guy that's like, hey, that's the dude. That's probably the guy you would want to go after in free agency. But if that 78.8 PFF grade in Atlanta, it's not enough for you, and you want to go try to find the next Creed Humphrey or whatever, I just don't think this is the year that happens. Last year, it felt like there were multiple, right? So one of the Packers' MOs is they love to take tackle players, draft tackle caliber players, and move them to guard. We've seen it last year with Jordan Morgan, right? Once again. Now, obviously, Jordan Morgan gets hurt. So my answer is coming back to what Rob Domofsky reported the whole time in, hey, probably got the center of the future in the building. What I see is a lot of depth at tackle, a ton of depth at tackle. And we're going to finish our wide receiver breakdown here in just a second. I just wanted to point that out, Tim, that the main thing that's sticking out to me, I want to get your take. It just feels like Packers probably going to draft a tackle or two in this draft to try to convert them to guard.
I agree. And I totally agree with your assessment at center too. Like, this guy from Atlanta might be a good, Band-Aid or backup option or something, but I really do. I think if the center of the future is already in the building, then let's put his ass at center and start building around and figure out what we're doing with this O-line going forward. We can speculate all we want. Is it Sean Ryan? Is it, Elton Jenkins? Who's going to slide over to center? The sooner that happens and they can start operating that way, the better. We love our versatile linemen, don't get me wrong. And you got to have those swing tackles, and you've got to have guards that can move to center, things like that. But I agree. I think when it comes to really both free agency and the draft, it's probably not going to be a center. You're right. It's probably a tackle or a guard that we're going to end up picking up and moving some pieces around. So let the speculation begin. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Josh Martin, I believe they moved Jenkins to center and Morgan to left guard. That's where I'm at right now, Josh. That could change. We'll see how the offseason goes here. Again, the thing that makes me a little hesitant is, and I'm still on board with what you're saying here, Josh. I don't want you to think I've changed my mind completely on it, but seeing how that offensive line really struggled with Elton Jenkins going out of the game from left guard, right? I mean, it pretty much fell. It's a perfect example of one of those five guys are really bad at football. Your offensive line's in trouble, right? Your whole offensive scheme is in trouble, right? So that's why it's so important. I know people were going to get mad, and they got mad over the Jordan Morgan pick, but that's what Goody had in mind. It just so happens Jordan Morgan gets hurt. Ain't nothing you can do about that. Guys get banged up, they get hurt. So what I'm seeing as a whole here, Tim, when I look at the needs of the team, I'm finding roughly, 5, 8, 10, 11 open spots on this roster right now. Okay, let me explain what I mean by that. I classify them into two categories. Starters, you need starters at that position, or you need backups, right? Center, we need a starting center. Now, if he's in-house, tack another number on to the offensive line count, okay? But we need a starting center. And speaking of offensive line, I think you need a starter and two backups, realistically. That's what you're looking to try to fill in the roster. So I'm expecting, either 2 draft picks and a free agent signing, or 3 draft picks at the offensive line this year. And then, like I said, you're going to try to fill in those voids, fill in those gaps. I don't think, unless you find a late-round gem at center, like imagine if you find another Zach Tom this year, a guy who could play all 5 positions, and then go back to Zach Tom's rookie year, right? And let's pretend that Zach Tom just plugged and played at center. We would probably be hurting at right tackle right now, but our center position would be locked up.
Yep.
We got Zach Tom, what was it, Tim, 4th or 5th round, right? So there's a chance. We're focusing top heavy right now on the draft. Okay, that's the main thing we're focused on, is to see, okay, where is the top end talent out, and that'll kind of determine where the depth falls into place. So again, I think you need 3 offensive linemen, 1 being a starting caliber, just to play it safe. I think you need 1 starting caliber receiver. I truly believe that now. If Christian Watson was healthy, you guys know I'd be kind of putting that on the back burner a little bit. But the fact that Watson's not going to be ready for week 1, you got to go get a number 1 receiver. When I say number 1 receiver, I got to choose my words wisely. I'm not saying that field tilter, I'm saying you're looking for a dude that can go out there and be one of your top 3 wide receivers and compete with Dontavion Wicks to get on the field. The longer we go in the process, I know everybody's in love with T. Higgins. They and I get it. The one for me is Chris Godwin. I'm just telling you, I keep coming back to Chris Godwin. Like, if that ankle's good and he's ready to roll, which I think we pretty much said last night, there was a chance he was going to play in the playoffs, right? But obviously they end up getting eliminated. That's the one that comes to mind for me. I think his value will be lower because of the injury. You could probably get a deal on him. He's 28 years old, and he's been a great wide receiver. I don't think he's been good. I think he's been great throughout his career. I really do. And I think he's been overshadowed by Mike Evans a bit, right? And some people would probably say, well, because Mike Evans is on that team, that's why he's produced. Well, you got to throw the other side out too, just like we did with T. Higgins, right? Maybe Mike Evans is dominating up top because they're having to hammer down on Chris Godwin from time to time. We'd have to go watch the tape to give a detailed depiction of what's actually happening. But that's the one sticking out.
I'm with you on Godwin. I agree. I think Godwin is the real deal. But like you said, man, is the ankle right?
Right.
It wasn't a sprain or anything. I mean, the dude dislocated his ankle completely.
Yeah.
And pushing, that getting to that dirty 30 number, right? He's going to be 29 next year. I'm with you. If the ankle's good, let's go. If not, I'd stay away from him.
Yeah.
If he re-injures that late in his career, at that stage in his career, we could be in a world of hurt. But
right,
everything on the field, the tangibles are there. You're right. Godwin's. I mean, we've got tape on him, right? We've been torched by Tampa Bay a few times at Lambeau and Chris Godwin. So I agree.
Drew D says Godwin has had 4 1,000+ yard seasons, so he's produced like crazy yet. And before he got hurt this year, guys, his PFF grade was 86.3. And again, I know T. Higgins was 88.2. T. Higgins is about to break the bank. I'm thinking that Chris Godwin and Devontae Adams are the two that I'm kind of like, hey, for the right price, that might be the perfect way to patch up this wide receiver room until Christian Watson gets back. And then next year you just kind of reevaluate. If you sign Godwin to a 2-year deal, we know that can truly just be a 1-year deal, Tim, if indeed, let's say the ankle doesn't work out and he re-injures it or something, right? Well, okay, it was worth it. We took a shot. Christian Watson's back toward the end of the year. And let's kind of move on, and we'll reset for the next year, right? Now,
considering Godwin coming off of that ankle injury, that probably will affect his market a little. So you might be able to get a little bit of a better deal, being that he is, coming off of that ankle injury.
That's exactly how I'm feeling about it. And again, we're just kind of weighing out all the options. Don't take anything we say here on January 16th as, okay, that's the plan. What we're doing is ciphering through all the information to try to figure out what's the best way to approach this. And the reason we're doing this is what teams are doing right now, guys. They're building boards. They're going. I know people hate mock drafts. They're going through mock drafts right now going, okay, what are the scenarios we're looking at, right? And all of that's going to get reshuffled after the combine, after the pro days, after so-and-so gets caught smoking the devil's lettuce behind the bleachers when he was in 6th grade, right? Like there's all those things are going to surface and shake the board up. But we're just kind of walking through it as we go through the off season. So I guess the conversation we need to have right now, Tim, is let's jump into the wide receivers in this year's draft and kind of say, okay, we know where we're at with free agents, right? We know where we're at there. Let's see exactly how we are looking. I think I've got this pulled up in terms of potential draft picks at wide receiver and where this sits going into this April's draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Again,
this receiving is tough.
Again, this wide receiver free agents, T. Higgins at the top, Chris Godwin, Stephon Diggs, he's 31 years old, DeAndre Hopkins, he's 32, Marquise Hollywood Brown, he's 27, but of course, we know there's been a little bit of baggage there, and then Amari Cooper, who was in Buffalo, he's 30 years old. So of those, if you say, Clayton, you got to pick one of those, we're making you choose one, I'm going with Chris Godwin over everybody. That's just me. So forget Chris Godwin's even available. If you have to try to go find that number 1 receiver or that guy that's going to compete for one of those starting 3 spots in your 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver sets, let's see who might be potential here in terms of the draft. Right off the bat, I'm not going to try to say the first name because I Google searched it, Tim, got a sound pronunciation, all that good stuff. I was going to get it right, and it sounded like a wordy dirt to me. So McMillan out of Arizona, all right? McMillan out of Arizona, 84.3 this year. He's going into the draft, according to the PFF Big Board, he is your top wide receiver. Keep in mind, we're going to dive into the consensus Big Board as we move through the offseason. We're starting with PFF and kind of giving you guys PFF grades. And I know there's some people that's going to roll their eyes at that. Go watch Puka Nacua ball out every Sunday and then tell me that PFF numbers absolutely don't matter. Because that was the only thing that was pointing to, hey, this dude's going to be a stud. And he was sitting out side of the top 100 the whole offseason for the consensus Big Board. They took him in whatever it was, the 3rd round or later, and the dude's just been an absolute dog. So that's why we're combing through this in this order. So again, McMillan out of Arizona, man, 84.3, 87.4, and the year before 66.5. He's put 2 years together. It's just been darn near dominant. Ranked number 9 on the Big Board. Again, this is not the 9th receiver. This is not overall prospect. Luther Burden III out of Missouri, 77.9, 88.8 the year before. He played quite a few fewer snaps this year, 130 fewer snaps this year. So in 2023, he was ranked the 14th best receiver in college football as opposed to this year, 92nd. So you see a number like that, Tim, you immediately think of Jaden Reed, like with Jaden, it's kind of the thing that stood out about Jaden, he had a great year before, right? So now will these guys be available? I don't know. I don't know if they'll be available at 23. I highly doubt these top two with the way it's looking early on, but we'll see. Next, you got Emeka Egbuka. I hope I'm saying that right. Out of Ohio State, 6'1", 205, 80 PFF grade, 72 the year before, 83 the year before that. And really the one that doesn't belong there, Tim, is the 2023 grade where he only have 451 snaps. Outside of that, he's graded out in the 80s the entire time. Looks like Ohio State's going to put another great wide receiver into the NFL. So those are the three guys that kind of appear on the big board before we would pick, right? Now, it doesn't mean they won't fall to 23, but that's kind of where they're sitting. In the 23 spot, this blew up the other day on Twitter. Everybody was talking about, Matthew Golden's a dog. Matthew Golden's a dog. And I'm going, why is everybody all of a sudden on Matthew Golden? It's because he's the 23rd ranked prospect and we're picking 23rd, right? So I think that has a lot to do with that, which cracks me up. But his PFF grades out of Texas, he's 23rd ranked overall prospect, 21 years old. PFF grades 74, 68, 65. All right. So he's progressing every year. But again, maybe he'll light up the combine, and that's the big thing with him. Maybe he's a speed demon there at 6 foot, 195. Next, you got Elick, if I'm saying it correct. Ayamaner.
Nailed it.
Perfect. We're rolling with it. 74 PFF grade, 75 the year before. Had no PFF grade in 2022. He's a redshirt junior. Next, you got Savion Williams out of TCU, 51st ranked prospect. 78.3, 72.4, 58.9. In the 52 spot, you got Xavier Restrepo out of Miami, 82.3, 87.4 the year before. That's a name that I'm going, boy, in the 52 spot, Tim, I don't know, maybe he's got injuries. Again, we'll uncover all that as we go into the offseason. But on the surface, that's a dude you look at and go, whoo, if you can get him in the second round, if he somehow falls, that might be your next Jaden Reed type player right there, right? That, just ends up being a dog. So Jaden Higgins in the 54 spot. Look at his PFF.
Here's the guy.
90.3, 85.0, 78.2. Oh, by the way, he's just 6'4", 215 pounds out of Iowa State. Now, some would say Iowa State, okay, did he play great competition? We'd have to go look at the schedule and kind of see what he did against those big teams. That can become a deciding factor. I don't spend a whole lot of time with my draft coverage trying to go, which of these guys are better? I let all of the experts, and when I say experts, I mean people that I trust. I don't just throw every Tom, Dick, and Harry into the mix and go, okay, here, I'm going to take his draft information as gospel. I like to lean on former NFL scouts, people like Daniel Jeremiah. I like to lean on people like Greg Cosell, who's been watching NFL tape since the 70s and breaking it down to just the maximum level. I like to use PFF because I think they do a good job combing through and finding these guys and actually grading them as opposed to people who knock PFF. I love to immediately ask them, what grade you got on him? Well, I ain't watched him. Shut the hell up. How you going to dog something when you're too lazy to go and actually break down every prospect and you're dogging somebody else who's doing it? And I like to use the consensus big board as well. That's just me personally. So in the top 50, Tim, what you're noticing in there's a couple of receivers here on the bottom half of the top 50 that you're like, hey, that could be a Packer receiver of the future. Doesn't mean you necessarily take him at 23, and you guys know what I'm thinking. How about trading out of that first round, picking up some picks, take multiple swings in the second and third? I'm all about that. But Tim, what do you think about the receiving core here as we get through the top 50, man?
I'll be honest with you. My reaction is, can you scroll down to Higgins here? This is like you hit on this 6'4", 215. That's an NFL receiver body right there. I am not interested in a sub 6 foot, sub 200 pound receiver. I think we have plenty on this team. I think we need, a field stretcher, big body, physical, able to play in the NFL right away type of dude. So Jaden Higgins looks really intriguing to me. Obviously, so does McMillan, but I don't see us going up to get McMillan. I'm assuming he's going to probably go relatively early in the first round. I don't think we move up. So I'm with you. Maybe trade back and try and snag one of these bigger receivers. That's just a personal opinion of mine. I don't know if anyone agrees, but I feel like, with Bo and Bird and, we've got those guys. I want another, Dobbs or Watson type of dude. Give me a little bit bigger of a receiver, bigger target for Jordan out there. The biggest target he's got is Tuck Norris right now. So I'd like let's find the next DK Metcalf type of dude. You know what I mean? That's kind of where my head's at. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, CJ in the chat says for Iowa State guys, they play the Iowa Hawkeyes defense every year. Always got a great defense, obviously. Go see how he did in that game. So there you go, a 69.4 against Iowa, as you can see right here, if you can see my cursor, right? So not horrible, right? It wasn't one of his best games of the year, but it seems like he at least kind of held his own in that regard. So, yeah, and when you kind of look at that stuff, man, I'm going to mark a couple of these. Let me see here. Let me just a second. Let me clean this up real quick. I got off track earlier. My bad. Yeah. So Deadfish says 40 time for Jaden Higgins is 4.55. Hey, for a big boy, man, that's moving. That's if I remember correctly, I want to say Randall Cobb was sub 4.5. But when you think of a guy that's 6'4" and running a 4.5 40, that's plenty of speed. That's plenty of speed that you need. He's not a freak, right? He's not one of these 4.3 guys like Christian Watson with a huge frame. But when you look at the grades, man, he checks all the boxes, right? You go from starting in 2022 a 78.2, 85.0, 90.3, right? And this year, 2024 comparables, receiving grade was a 90.5, okay? Yards per route ran was a 2.66. Keep in mind, that is almost in the very, very top of the chart there, right? The top of the graph, whatever you want to call it, the meter, if you will. His drop rate was 2.2%. That was right towards the top, right? In a good way, not a bad way. Contested catch rate about at the 3/4 mark. So pretty darn good at contested catches. And his grade versus man coverage, 86.3. Again, what did Philly do to us?
Yeah. What does Detroit do to people? Yeah. It'd be great to have a guy like that.
I'm trying to think. I think it was Philly, but it was also Chicago who surprised us, right? Was it Chicago that surprised us with some man coverage? So
they played man too, yeah. Yep.
When you're looking at all these prospects, a lot of times you look to try to disqualify people, right? I almost said unqualified, showed my ignorance. You try to disqualify people and go, okay, well, we really needed this year, and the fact that he's not good at that kind of, in this case, man, this looks like a great prospect. Again, does it mean the Packers are going to draft him? Probably not. But he's one of many, and I'm looking in that range of outside of the first round where you go, okay, you've really got a shot at a multitude of guys. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on a top 10 prospect that we know it's going to take, moving hell and half of Georgia to get Goody to trade up in the top 10 to try to take a receiver, and I agree with that, to be honest with you. So Drew D says, can you imagine if we trade out of the first round when we're hosting the draft? Oh, my God, Tim, they will freak. They will go off.
I can totally imagine that. And I think we should. I think we should. If it's best for what our football team needs, the hell with the hosting the draft. None of that matters. Get the job done. Handle business. Stand on business.
I just imagine everybody standing out there for 3.5 hours, all shoulder to shoulder like this. And then the Packers have traded the 23rd. Oh my God, there will be a riot.
Traded their first round pick for a second and a third and a fourth.
Or something. Yeah, something crazy, right? Like Randy Cleaver says, it's a 50-50 guy here for sure, man. So, all right, let's go back to the receiver board. In the 56 spot, Jack Beck, 83.2 this year. Last year, only 181 snaps, 62.8, only 236 the year before with a 65.2. So you kind of look at that and go, hey, could be great, right? But not a huge sample size.
It's good to see that his snaps went up, though. Yeah. And then so did his grade. Some guys' grade goes down with the more snaps that they get.
Right. This is a guy that was kind of on my radar. I watched a little bit of his tape, and I enjoy Jalen Royals out of Utah State. 79.6, 78.6 the year before. Now, keep in mind, he only played in 461 snaps this year. If he continues to sink and you can get him somewhere in the third or fourth round, that's a dude I wouldn't mind for Goody to take a swing on there. Right.
6 foot, 205, right there at that kind of that threshold I was talking about.
Right.
I like it.
And look how he progressed through the year. That's the big thing. These are the type of things that you look for, right? Now his contested catch rate isn't great. His drop rate is a little above average. So again, the reason I mentioned his name, he seems like a Goody top. Goody loves taking these receivers late in the draft who have drop issues, right? I'm not saying, hey, this is a dude that's going to be an absolute dog playmaker. I'm just saying every year there's players in the draft that kind of pop and you go, that kind of feels like a Goody pick. Keep in mind Jalen Royals. That's all I'm going to say. I would not be surprised if he ends up in Green and Gold. And if I'm correct, or Utah State, is that where
Jordan?
Yeah, that's where Jordan played, right?
Yep.
So you might have a little pipeline there. I don't know, something to watch for. I'm not saying I'd be over the moon about it, but I did watch a little bit of his tape. I like his tape, and look how he progressed through the year, right? 64-9, 66-9, 62-8, 71-9, 74-6, 75, 78-9, and then of course I'm sure he had the injury there after that point. It's just interesting to see someone completely just getting better as the year goes on, right? And again, he's got a pretty stable PFF grade at 78.6 and 79.6. So keep an eye out for Jalen Royals. 79 spot, Isaiah Bond out of Texas. 68.9, 76.3 last year, and a 58 the year before. A little bit unstable. We'll see what he does at the combine and everything. Tez Johnson from Oregon. Tim, here's a freaking guy. Now, again, 587 snaps, 504, and 350 going backwards there. But look at these PFF grades, man. This year, 83.1, 87.5 the year before, 89.9 the year before. That's about as consistent as you can get. The problem, 5'10", 165. That dude is tiny, right? In terms of, meat on the bone, I guess you could say. Receiving grade, 87. Yards per route ran, 2.6. Drop rate, 3.5%, about the three-quarter mark. His contested catch rate, I mean, you're 165 pounds soaking wet. What do you expect,
That's
right?
what I'm talking about, yeah.
That's what's so rare about Jaden Reed is Jaden Reed is a contested catch guy, which
Right.
is wild.
For a smaller dude, it's crazy to see. He plays like a big boy, you know?
But our boy Tez Johnson can eat it up in man coverage, 81.4 grade against man coverage. So that's going to be one of the receivers to watch for in the combine too. You're going to look for him to come out and say, yeah, I'm 185 now. That's what teams are going to be looking for is him putting on weight before you get to the combine.
Here's my guy right here.
It's your dude, Trey Harris.
Here's the guy.
Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. Man, I'm telling you, there's multiple prospects out of Ole Miss down there that Lane Kiffin is producing. It's going to kind of become one of those football factories, I think, for the pros. You're just seeing it now. It's really starting to settle in where he's had his guys in there for several years, and now they're starting to churn out NFL pro prospects. He's ranked 86, but he's 6'3", 210. This year's PFF grade, 89.8. Last year, 88.5. And 2022, a 77.8. Now, he only had 366 snaps this year, but it looked like he had stabilized there in the 80s.
Ooh, look at that contested catch rate.
Yeah. Receiving grade, 89.4. Look at his yards per route ran. It's pegged out, bro.
Let's
he's
go.
one of the best in college football at 5.15. His drop rate, though, below the median line, so he does have an issue with drops. But he's like, yeah, just put three guys on me and I'll catch the ball every time. Contested catch rate is 61.5%. It looks like there was a little bit of a decline as the year went on. Maybe that was because an injury wasn't just acute. It was kind of nagging. I don't know. We can dig into that a little deeper as we get to the offseason. So those are your top 100 prospects from a receiver standpoint, right, of all the receivers that kind of fall in line. Tim, we're going to just comb through them briefly. One quick time, I think we would agree. McMillan and Burden probably going to be gone before we pick. If Egbuka, if I'm saying that right, is on the board when you pick at 23, that's probably one of those dudes that you go might be worthy of using a first-round pick and breaking that whole way of thinking from Goody. Him, Matthew Golden is another one that's getting mentioned. I'm not as impressed with Matthew Golden personally. That's just me. But the big one that stood out to me, though, when you get down here to the 52 mark with Strepo out of Miami, with those PFF grades and Jaden Higgins, it's kind of that 50 mark is where I'm at. And that's why I'm thinking unless you have a solid offensive lineman when you pick at 23 or a solid defensive tackle, it's feeling like D tackle is the way to go with that 23rd pick. It really is. And we kind of
talked about stay in pick. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, again, we've got in the top 100, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the top 100. And they're going to go quick because, as we always say, man, everybody thinks they got a 3-tech and very few teams do. So,
So true.
Matt LaFleur is something I was going to mention last night and I forgot. I'm pretty sure I forgot to mention it. On that podcast with Matt Schneidman, he talked about how they were limited on what they could do against the Eagles because of Jalen Carter. And he's like, you love to pull guards and stuff. He said, you can't pull guards against Jalen Carter.
Right. You're going to
So-
eat it up just like you did.
When we talk about what a 3-tech truly means to a football team, in the most important game of our season, yes, we had the Elton Jenkins injury, right? But on top of that, you had Jalen Carter that our coaching staff going, man, we just can't. We got to take that out of the playbook because that's Jalen Carter out there. He's that dominant. He'll wreck this game plan if we try to pull guards too much, I should say. So that's what we mean by a 3-tech. When I look at why we lost to Philly, what happened, why did it happen, turning the ball over, the number one thing. Outside of turning the ball over, Tim, I don't look up and go, man, if we had a true number one receiver, we'd have had a better shot. I'm looking up going, we got our ass kicked in the trenches. So that's why I'm thinking 3-tech. And I'm also thinking you better solidify a little bit more depth with this offensive line. Go out and get Drew Dahlman in free agency or potentially draft a couple tackles that you can plug and play at guard and move Elton to center. That's kind of where I'm at right now. It could change, though. But anyway, receiver, everything we just talked about. Any takes on that, man?
Yeah, I'm on the Higgins bandwagon. Jaden Higgins, not T. Higgins. And I think Trey Harris, man, that guy's probably my sleeper pick. Just on this initial scratching the surface with the receiver class here coming out. And I can't wait to see how many of these guys actually work out at the combine. We'll get to see a fresh look at a couple of these receivers. And I think you're right, though. I do think you never know. This could be a year that Goody does shock us. Maybe he does move up and go and get a receiver early on. You never know.
Could be, man. Could be. Boy, you talk about that crowd going crazy. If he were to take a wide receiver in the first round, I don't think it matters who it is. That crowd's going to go nuts in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Goody might walk out on stage and announce it himself. Dead Fish in the chat. Appreciate you, buddy. He says Tez Johnson, a wide receiver of the University of Oregon, is projected to run a 40-yard dash of 4.3 to 4.32. So Tez Johnson up here, was he higher? He was lower, wasn't he? Let's see here. 5'10", 165. He's just going to be a speed demon, right?
Yep.
So he's going to be one of those dudes that if he could put on a little bit of weight and not lose speed before the combine, you're going to see his draft stock go up. I guarantee it. We'll keep an eye on that as we move through the draft process. Drew D says, I can deal with more drops when you have such a high contested catch rate. I agree, Drew. That makes it a little more palatable. But the problem is, would you rather go, think of LaFleur's eyes right now. You got two receivers and you say, this one's got a higher drop rate, but a higher, a better contested catch rate. Or would you rather have the lower drop rate and the lower contested catch rate? You understand what I'm saying? Matt LaFleur's offense isn't built for, hey, let's throw a jump ball. Let's throw a 50-50 ball. It's in there. Don't get me wrong.
But it's read down there somewhere.
It's built to scheme guys open, right? And that's the only reason I would push back a little bit. Like, I understand your logic there, right? It's a lot easier to deal with, that's for sure. And that's exactly what Drew said. I just don't think Matt would be on board with that going, hey, we know this dude has drop issues, but boy, he can go up and catch the ball in double coverage, as opposed to this guy really secures the ball well and has a good catch rate, but he can't go up. Well, I bet Matt would say, I'm not planning on throwing in double coverage anyway, So that's kind of how I see that. But Judy also says, are you worried about not having a bigger body wide receiver if we take Restrepo? That's a great point, right? If you're looking to go bigger body, some of these guys are going to get crossed off the list real quick, Tim. Let's do this. Let's go 6'1" or taller at wide receiver and see how many of these in the top 100. I'm going to count them off.
McMillan, Higgins.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 6 guys in the top 100, 6 of them. Of roughly, I would say there's probably 12 in the top 100 here, right? 6 of them, 50% of them are kind of what you would consider a big body, 6'1" or more, Again, how does Matt feel about that? I know how quarterbacks feel about it. Boy, they love those bigger body targets, right? That's their safety valve. That's why Lazard was so important to Aaron. You look out there, okay, I'm going to try to hit. I'm trying to think of who all played. Think of Romeo Dobbs. He's not a tiny receiver, but he's definitely not one of those huge body receivers, right? You look out there and you go, okay, it's my guy against him. I've got two options. Do I want to throw to Romeo Dobbs, who's probably 6 foot, 5'11", something like that? 6 foot, or you look at Lazard and go, it's kind of that whole playground approach. When you're picking a football team on the playground, you don't know who anybody is. Give me a big bastard back there. Yeah, I'll take you. Right. Yeah. That's where you're probably taking your chances throwing a football.
And if you're trying to fill the void with Scoot being out, Scoot's got the speed and the size. It's like, okay, well, maybe we get someone in who can make up, for the size and has good hands. And then we use our Bo Meltons and Jaden Reeds as our speed demons and attack that way. I prefer a bigger body receiver, especially in the draft. Like if we're going to draft someone, use a pick. I don't want another little guy. I'll take a big body receiver all day.
Got it. Let's see here. We had another comment I wanted to hit real quick. Joseph said Tyleek. All right, so let's do this before we wrap up. We're at the 41-minute mark. Before we wrap up here, Tim, let's shift gears. Let's get receiver off the screen and let's go back to D tackle, interior, I should say, and let's just take another quick look at this, okay? Because again, I think this is most likely the position that we go after with our first-round pick. It's either this or corner because both are pretty deep, and there's such a cluster of these players that if you're going to get one and you're looking for them to contribute in 2025, which I think you would at both defensive tackle and corner, if Jair is gone, then I think it's probably the route you go. Tyleek's in that wheelhouse, man. Yep. PFF grade 79, 77, and 80. I mean, you're talking about absolutely stable there. With the
and
PFF.
Hopefully that draft stock plummets after they catch that L from the Irish.
Now let's see where he lined up at. Notice down here it's got it by gap. Okay, let me explain to you guys. When we say 3-tech, we're talking B gap. Okay, the majority of his snaps this year, 384 snaps, were in the B gap. Last year there were 478, and the year before 152. So he is a true 3-tech. At least he was at Ohio State. When you're talking about over the tackle, then you're talking about head up on the tackle or on the outside shoulder type thing, right? Mostly over the tackle is just lining up in a straight 4-tech. But in terms of a 3-tech, Tyleek fits that mold for sure. He does.
Where is he projected again?
25th, I believe.
Oh yeah. So let's flood the market with rumors of us drafting a receiver in the first round.
Yes.
And then let's just sit right the hell where we are and take Tyleek. Let's do it.
Exactly. Drew D says, if we can't find a pass rushing 3-tech, do you think getting a run stuffing 1-tech could help unlock Wyatt? I mean, they both got to be on the field at the same time. And the problem we got, Drew, is Kenny's going to be on the field.
Yep.
Right. I mean,
and
there's no getting out of that
TJ
contract.
Slayton factor too. We don't know what's up with him yet.
Yeah. So I think what you say here, Drew, is a great question because it's very thought provoking. Like, okay, let's try to take a step back and look at this. Kenny's going to be on the roster. Unless Kenny retires, there's no getting out of the Kenny contract, right? Like he's going to be here. So what did he play last year? He played 1-tech. So let's take what Drew's saying here and forget Wyatt for just a second, okay? If Kenny's going to be on the field and he's going to be on the roster, there's nothing we can do about it. And they play him at 1-tech. The only other option is what if they shift Kenny to 3-tech and we draft a 1-tech? That's possible, right? But again,
I don't think that solves our problem at 3-tech.
It doesn't at all, in my opinion. Now, Devontae Wyatt, 66 PFF grade. I think he was our highest graded defensive lineman, right? 66 is okay. You're starting to turn the corner a little bit. But what happened with Devontae? Run defense has always been an issue, right? He plays very reckless. We've seen him wash out pass rushers on Chalk Talk multiple times. He plays kind of reckless when he's rushing the quarterback, and he's not a good tackler, right? So he's not a good run defender. When we say a true 3-tech, we're not just talking about getting after the quarterback, right? He may take that step this year, but the reason I'm starting to give up on Devontae Wyatt, Tim, and he was one of my favorite picks. When they took him, I'm like, this makes so much sense. That's our dude right there. But now you've got the injuries starting to pile up because he got hurt in Philly too, right? Am I thinking right?
Yeah, the setback in Philly. And then, the other factor that you talk about with Devontae is the effort, I'm going to do my thing factor. Mm-hmm. A play's called in or you got a gap assignment or you make an adjustment on the line and, you're supposed to to zag and instead you zig, or, it's spin move pass rush when we need you to occupy a guard. And, he kind of freelances a little bit, right? You've pointed that out a couple times with him this year. And I think that's an issue that we've had primarily usually on the offensive side of the ball, but now we're seeing it on the defensive side of the ball with guys just kind of freestyling out there, and we got to hone that in.
Yeah. And I want to be fair to Wyatt too. Tim will agree with me. We don't know what the coaches have told him. They may have gave him the green light. Do whatever the hell you want to do.
That's true. That is true.
That could be a real thing. I doubt it, but I also wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, so Drew, thank you for the super chat, man. I think that's a great question because you don't just say defensive tackles, right? You got to think about where are they going to be lining up, right? Where how are they going to be used in terms of what Greg Cosell refers to as deployment, right? Where are they going to be deployed on the field? Now I'm going to tell you the other player we've seen Tyleik Williams, and we'll wrap up with this last prospect here. The one that sticks out to me the most is, again, another Ole Miss guy, and that's Walter Nolan.
Yes.
Walter Nolan has gotten better every year. Look at this, 68-1. He jumps to a 72-5, and then he gets 587 snaps this year and jumps to 88.3. Now, he's a 6'3", 305 guy. Look at the age, Tim. Goody DiCaprio loves him young, right?
Yep.
21.2 is his age. And then when you look at he's in the 34 spot. Doesn't mean he's going to be there at 23, but if he is on the board, let's see where his lineups are. Look at this, boys. Let me let me scroll down a little bit. I want to keep Drew's up there for just a second.
Oh, sorry. I'll grab it.
That's okay. Either way, man. Drew, again, thank you for the super chat, bro. We'll keep it up for a second since you were kind of asking this. B-gap, Tim, 432 snaps. There's your 3-2. Walter Nolan's the one that's sticking out.
Look at the comparables. My goodness. What a monster.
No, seriously. Look at the other thing, too. Probably the toughest game they played this year was against Georgia, 80.8.
I was going to say it's his second highest graded game, right? Looks like it.
Now, let's look at, like Tim said, the comparables. Pass rush grade, 74.0 out of a 3-tech. He is, almost to the maximum level, right? In between 3/4 and the max. Run defense grade, pegged out, 91.6 run defense grade. What's our knock on Devontae Wyatt, right? It's like, hey, he's just not as good against the run.
Yep.
True pass rush grade, pegged out, 80. Almost completely maxed out. His pass rush win rate, 10.6%. You go, okay, Clayton, wait a minute. Who were our 3-techs and what were their pass rush win rate? Devontae Wyatt was our true 3-tech, in my opinion, at least how we used him in deployment. Give me just a second, Tim. I'm going to go over and see what his pass rush win rate at. Keep in mind, this is a college versus the pros. You're kind of comparing apples to oranges here, right? But if we were to go and look at his pass rush win rate, according to Next Gen Stats over at NFL Pro, let's see here. Where you at, big dog? Devontae Wyatt, pass rush win rate, 9.7%. So he, again, albeit in college, his pass rush win rate is at 10.6%. Now, comparing that to Kenny Clark, you're kind of comparing apples to oranges there as well, because Kenny played 1-tech, but his pass rush win rate was only 6.8% this year. So Devontae Wyatt finished with 5 sacks. Keep that in mind as well. So 5 sacks, and he played far fewer snaps, 160 fewer pass rush snaps than Kenny Clark did in that regard. So, that's probably my draft crush as it sits right now, Tim, to be honest with you.
I think it's a lot of our draft crush, probably. A lot of us probably like Walter Nolan, but I'm going to tell you, Deion Walker, you're a Packer.
He had a down year this year, right? We kind of talked about it. And Drew, thank you so much for the super chat, bud. We appreciate you. Let's go back and just take a quick look at Deion Walker real quick. So
it just seems more feasible to me. I think this guy might be on the board for us.
Bro, he is young, and this kind of fits the Jaden Reed mode, right? Jaden Reed was 345 pounds. I'm just joking. The Jaden Reed mode of the year before, great grade. This year, down year, maybe it hurts his stock a little bit, right?
Yep.
But, guys, he's going to be 21 at the draft. Deion Walker, 6'6", 345 pounds, and he moves like a cat. It's awesome watching him play. PFF grade starting in 2022, 74.2. 2023, it jumped to an 80.6. This year, it took a step back to 71.2. You guys know I'm a Kentucky fan. That whole defense took a step back. So I almost kind of go, maybe we don't hold that against those individual players, seeing that the whole defense took a step back. It's kind of like the pass rush with the Packers this year. When everybody regresses, there's probably something schematically going on that they're trying to zero in on stopping something specifically. In my opinion, this year it was the run with the touch spies and trying to contain the rush lanes. So Deon Walker, though, if we look at the measurables here, the comparables, pass rush grade 75.4. Dog run defense grade this year was down, Tim, 67.7. True pass rush grade 73.4. Pass rush win rate at 10.3%. Run stop rate at 6.6%.
What does everyone complain about? We don't have a pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
I like the grades here.
B gap 247 snaps, but he also played in the A gap 142 snaps. So if Deon Walker slides in the draft and we don't take a D tackle in the first round, this might be that dude in that second to third round range that you go, hey, let's go get this monster. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch him play, just type in Deon Walker highlight reel. The majority of the tape will be like Jaden Reed's. It'll probably be from 2022 or 2023. But, man, it's fun. Watching him get up off the ground and bat passes down and just the way he moves laterally against the run, it's really impressive for a big boy.
Especially if they can bring him in and to say, hey, you're the bona fide 3-tech. This is where we need you to be in this defense.
And the reach you're going to have at 6'6", man. I mean, he might be the tallest. Let's look at all these defensive tackles real quick, and then we'll get out. Here are their heights: 6'3", 6'3", 6'3", 6'4", 6'3", 6'3", 6'5" for Alfred Collins, all right, out of Texas. Deon Walker, 6'6". Derek Harmon, 6'5". We're going to be spending a lot of time this offseason diving into the 3-techs because there's some dogs. And what's exciting, Tim, is they're outside of the first round, it looks like.
I know.
So,
maybe we take a couple swings at defensive tackle. Maybe we get one a little early and one, maybe a second round or third round and then fifth, sixth, or seventh round. Yeah.
Maybe Goody trades out of that first round and Drew D hits him in the chest with his bratwurst, right? Throw some cheese curds at him on the stage. So I don't know. It's going to be fun, man. We're literally just scratching the surface. And again, look at this. This is the cheat sheet has come together.
Come look at this.
Somebody come look at this. Again, the needs that we got identified. I think you're going to look to add about 11 players this offseason. That's just me personally. Obviously, the large majority of those are going to be in the draft. But you got a couple spots there. I don't even know how many draft picks the Packers have. We'll have to look that up. But we'll get that on the ticker tonight. We'll get where we're drafting, and we'll also put in some free agency news on a separate ticker, or free agent information, I should say, on a separate ticker too, as we get ready to build this roster out. So it's going to be fun, man. Anything else, Tim? We get ready to wrap up?
No, this was great. I think we're keeping our finger on the pulse here. And, as we roll through into the offseason, this is good. A lot of homework, doing our homework. We're going to learn together.
Definitely. Drew D makes a great point here as we get ready to sign off. He says we can also get UDFAs. We know Goody is cut from the same Ted Thompson cloth. They love those undrafted free agents, man. Love them. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah. And I just want to keep in mind, I do not have listed as a need a kicker because I'm holding out straight faith, and I'm praying every day that we just re-sign Brandon McManus and get him back in here on a 3-year deal. So,
amen.
All right, that's it, guys. We'll see you tonight. PTA live at 7 p.m. Central. Thank you so much, Drew D, for the super chat. You're the man. Everybody have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon.
And we go. We out.
Bye, guys.